All right, welcome back. We're CPAC Live 2025 in Washington, D.C., technically Maryland,
There you go.
at the Gaylord. I'm with, Braeden Sorbo. Braeden, not Brandon.
Braeden.
I almost did it to
So
you.
you got it.
Hey, Braeden Sorbo. And you've written a book called Embrace Masculinity.
Yep.
I got to hear about this. And how old are you?
I'm 23 years old.
So 23 years old, and you're embracing masculinity. So there seems to be this gap. So I'm Gen X.
Mhm.
I just turned 50.
Okay.
And we embraced masculinity. Like, that's what we were there for.
Yeah.
and then there was this gap of like, what happened? And now it's this, like, your generation seems to be embracing masculinity again, which I think is great.
Yeah.
So how did you get into doing that?
We're trying to bring it back. Well, I wrote the very first chapter of the book is called "The America Your Parents Knew No Longer Exists." It's dead, essentially. And so I say that the American dream has unfortunately been killed. We can resuscitate it, but right now it's dead. I mean, back when my dad was a kid, his dad, he's the fourth of five. So a family of 7 lived on a 7th and 8th grade math and biology teacher's salary. That's impossible today. Literally can't happen.
No,
It's not going to
It
happen.
is impossible.
So the American dream, as what we once knew it to be, has unfortunately been squished a little bit.
Yeah.
And so we're trying to revive it, trying to bring it back. And in looking at sort of the culprits in this world in which we live and trying to determine who's the person to blame, I realized it was sort of our own fault because we let our guard down. We got comfortable in the world in which we live, and it ended up being our detriment. It ended up destroying us. And so the government came in and they took over. They destroyed us. I wrote the second chapter of the book is called War of the Patriarchies because I base it on a Christian perspective, and I say God ordained an order in the universe. So it's not a matter of if men will lead, but which men will lead and whether or not they'll be good. And so bad patriarchs, dating all the way back to the time of Egypt and the Pharaoh with the Israelites, right? He tried to kill the Hebrew babies. That's the ultimate end goal for a bad patriarch if he can't control or if he can't suppress or harness the power of the men underneath him. Because if he can't harness it to build his pyramids or to do things, if he can't kind of suppress it with pornography or coliseums, bread and circuses, then he has to destroy it. That's his only option. And we're at that stage of destruction in America today with the abortion movement and with the spiritual destruction and desecration of the souls with pornography.
You are wise beyond your years, young man.
Thank you.
How do you know this?
I grew up on Hollywood sets, so as many people probably recognize my
Then
last
how
name.
do you know this?
As many people probably recognize my last name, I am the son of Kevin Sorbo, the actor. And so I was homeschooled my entire life. And growing up on sets, I was sort of
I
a
can
witness.
see it now. You look a little bit like him.
Thank you. I appreciate that. He's a good-looking guy.
He's a good-looking guy.
He's a good-looking guy. You're a good-looking guy.
Oh, well, thank you.
Yeah. So I witnessed firsthand this feminization of the world. I noticed how men were no longer embracing the tenets that the Bible spoke of, the tenets that the church was founded on. You know, these ideas of responsibility, of ownership, provision, protection. Paul writes in Ephesians 5:25, he says, first, women, submit to your husbands. But people leave out the second part where he says, husbands, sacrifice for your wives, like Christ sacrificed himself for the church. And so I noticed men were no longer sacrificing themselves. Now, granted, the women weren't worth sacrificing for, but as leaders, it's kind of our job to bring it back. And so I know a lot of the red pill doom and gloom bros are going, well, it's over. We may as well just become alphas and sleep with as many men as possible. And we can just do whatever because who cares? They're doing it to themselves. 1 in 4 women are on OnlyFans. Do you know that? 1 in 4 women today have an OnlyFans account or had an OnlyFans account.
1 in 4?
1 in 4 between the ages of 18 and 35. It's absurd. However, you get podcasts that exemplify and glorify that and make the money. And so more women are enticed to do it.
Yeah.
And the problem is we need to, as men, be setting the example by uplifting and empowering and glorifying, honestly, pedestaling even the good women who are embodying the feminine virtues.
That's exactly what we're about in this podcast.
On the problematic side, the people who are doing the problematic things, living in sin, aren't beyond saving. I tell everybody, if God could save me, he could save you. That's just a fact. I'm a wretched, evil sinner, right? You know, but these people who are living in sin can be saved. They just need to want it because you can't force salvation on anybody. So instead of trying to force it on them, what we need to be doing is we need to be uplifting and essentially showcasing this is what we want. Because these women are going to, I mean, studies are showing that 40% of women from my generation, by the time they hit 35, are going to still be single and childless. That's crazy, especially given the scientific miracles it would take to have a kid after the age of 30 if you haven't had one at all, right? If you've had a child before the age of 30, it's statistically much more likely that you're going to be able to have a kid, but medical complications with pregnancies after the age of 30, especially after the age of 40, are so prevalent that it's preventing us from recreating. It's preventing us from, replenishing our nation, which is why we have to open the border and allow in a ton more people, because we're no longer having kids ourselves. I mean, if you noticed, as houses got bigger, families got smaller. My dad was one of 5. He has 3 kids now. He wishes they had more. My parents wish they had more now. But as houses got bigger, families got smaller. We have people are bedrooms, 5 bedrooms, 4
Well, it
bedrooms. and
separates
they're
them
having
all
1 or 2
inside the
kids.
house too.
It does. And so you have this destruction of the family unit, which is on purpose. It's targeted by our government. Back in the early 1900s, late 1800s, our government looked and they said, okay, we're not able to benefit off of half of the population. What should we do? How can we fix that? And they decided, if women have the right to vote, then what we'll do is they'll get the right to vote. They'll have to work. That pulls them away from the family. That pulls them away from their children. So we make it a political issue where the women are unrepresented. When in reality, the voting system was originally designed where the patriarch, the head of the household, would vote to represent his entire family.
Correct.
They would vote as a unit. They would vote together.
Correct.
They separated that. They took the parents away from each other by splitting it, creating division. They took the parents away from the kids by forcing both of them to work. And then they took control of the kids by the school system. Only 4% of women, when the 19th Amendment was passed, actually wanted it. You know what the first vote that women overwhelmingly voted for to pass?
No.
Abortion.
Really?
Margaret Sanger, in support of Margaret Sanger.
Wow.
Was one of the first overwhelming things. So the government had this plan from the very start to control. Nothing about this was liberating. And the problem is it disenfranchised all these young men. And so that's what we're kind of returning to today, right? Like you said, there was a gap between Gen X and Gen Z, right? We're going, what the heck happened? Well, all of these men felt disenfranchised and they sort of backed off. And now young men are feeling disenfranchised and they're stepping up. That's why we're seeing a return to the church. 75% of the church 10 years ago was feminine, was women. I have a whole chapter about it called The Feminine Church. 75% of the church now is male. Guys are returning to Catholic, Orthodox, even Protestant churches in droves because they're finding unison, they're finding order, they're finding revival, they're finding purpose.
Yep. Well, men also need other men.
They do.
The church itself is actually
chapter 6.
The church is very designed to appeal more to a feminine. Masculine, smaller groups where men actually interact. You talk amongst yourselves instead of being talked to and preached at. You interact and you mentor each other, and it's an apprenticeship and a master and an apprentice type of relationship where the wisdom is expressed among the group from one to one, and that it also holds men accountable. Men need accountability.
Proverbs 6:7 is iron sharpens iron, one man sharpens another.
Exactly.
That's exactly it. That's why I will say people don't realize this. Catholic and Orthodox churches are seeing bigger influxes of men than any other church. And there's a reason for that. Like you said, men don't want to be talked to. Right? They don't want to be told what to do. They want to be told that their natural inclinations, masculinity, responsibility, caring, protection, provision are good. They want that. And they want to know that the sacrifices that they make are important. I work out, right? I wrote, you can deadlift 500 pounds, but if you're not willing to die for Christ, you're not a man. There are 16, 17-year-old boys in countries in the Middle East in prison for the gospel. And I would say that they're more masculine than I am.
Yeah.
Because I can bench 225, 315. Like what? That at the end of the day, that doesn't matter. Now, your physical health does have a great impact on your spiritual and mental health. So it's not something that should be excluded, but it can't be your end goal stopping point. And so I look at Mass or a divine liturgy, Catholic, Orthodox, right? I go there versus a Protestant mega church in Florida where I live. And it's no longer a rock concert with music and then, a motivational talk that sort of relates to me. I went to a church a little while ago and the message was about Jonah. And the overall thing was, don't be like Jonah and say no to God, be like Jesus. And I'm going, wow. I learned so much today. Be like Jesus. Who could have thought that would be the message?
Wherever did you get the idea?
Whoa. But it's just this cookie cutter basic formula. And that's why so many people are leaving. I went to Mass a little while ago before going to the gym, and I sit there in awe and reverence because it's not some generic thing. It's me. It's true worship is not what you do on Sunday mornings. True worship is what you give God every single minute of every single day.
Correct.
So when you sit there in reverence and awe and submission, not looking at your phone, not distracted, not just being there but not present, true worship is what we give. And that's why we're seeing this big influx, because people are realizing that type of service is giving rather than getting.
Mhm.
And that's why Protestants are, unfortunately, that's why we're because I was raised non-denominational evangelical, but that's why we're losing so many people, because we're abandoning this idea of worship in favor of something, this self-glorifying, gratifying worship concert, when what we need to be doing is giving, not getting.
I agree. There's also, so one of the weaknesses I see in some churches is they're doing too much proselytizing, meaning they're trying to convert people that are in the audience. And for me, not so much lately, I would say, but there were definitely, in through my 30s and into my 40s, was like I was looking for like, hey, I'm a true believer, like 100%. There's no part of me that doesn't believe. It's been proven. I've seen it in my life.
Yeah.
I completely understand. So you're trying to convert me like every sermon. Why don't you show me how, like, I'm past that. I'm all in. Now what do I do?
Yeah.
Like, what do I do? How do I be a leader? What's my purpose? What am I supposed to be doing?
Yeah, it's more than just a motivational speech that makes
Exactly.
you feel good at the end.
Correct.
It's a purposeful guidance on how to apply the tenets of faith to your life for more than just Sunday. I mean, I do country dancing. I teach partner dancing and stuff. And a bar that I go to is next to a college. And I'm sitting there and I'm going, all these girls have cross necklaces on and they're acting one way on Saturday and a whole different way on Sunday. You're not worshiping. You're not glorifying, right? The guys are doing the same thing.
Well, they're lost because the culture is so counter
It is
to what they really should be doing.
Yeah, without a doubt. It's disappointing to see. And frankly, that's why I wrote the book, because I need more people to be fighting, right? I mean, it comes out, it's not officially out. It's on pre-order right now, but it comes out, I'll hold it up right next to me, called Embrace Masculinity. It comes out on Sorbo Studios or Amazon, but Sorbo Studios if people want a signed copy, because that's better, obviously. At the end of April, I'm releasing it as a graduation gift. So I want people to get that for your nephews, your grandsons, your kids,
absolutely,
your friends. Get it.
I want to read it.
I would be happy to get you a copy.
Yeah.
It's something that people need more of. And I've gotten some great endorsements on here. I've gotten the Red Pill Bros. I got Andrew and Tristan Tate. Andrew is a Muslim. Tristan Tate is Christian. The thing is, a lot of their followers are searching.
The two brothers, one's Muslim and one's Christian.
Crazy.
Legit?
Right? Crazy, yes.
That's not a marketing thing?
Why would you become... It's really not great to become Christian as a marketing thing. Not yet, at least. We're not there.
Were they originally Muslim and one of them's converted?
I don't think either one had a religion specifically, but Andrew became more outspoken with his Muslim identity. But the thing is, a lot of their followers are looking. They're still searching, the Red Pill Bros, and they're not finding any answers. And so I hope that with their endorsement, the followers are willing to pick up this book and give it a shot. And essentially, I'll say it right now, I hope to Trojan way my horse into their hearts. I hope that the book does that.
Hey, if it's for a noble purpose, it's that... not all ends justify all means, but that one does.
Thank you.
And it's Braeden.
Braeden.
I almost Brendan you.
No, don't do it.
You get that a lot?
I do all the time.
Braeden, it's really a pleasure to meet you. Thank you for being on the show.
Thank you for having me.
Let's follow up in the future. You're welcome. Open invitation. We're out of Dallas, Texas. Are you in Los Angeles or
I'm in West Palm Beach?
West Palm Beach.
Yep.
Dude, I'm in Florida a lot. I'll be able to
even great spot.
meet you there.
I have a home studio.
Perfect.
I just repainted my room, just a corner of it. For
I would
camera.
love to do. So we like the 3-hour long form interviews. If you ever want to do one, I'd be happy to do it.
Crazy. I'm down.
Spend the time.
Yeah.
Because we could go real deep on a lot of these things. Talk about because I'd like to talk about your childhood and your history and
Don't tempt me. I'll get my whole testimony. People know where I come from.
Good. That's what I want.
Perfect.
That's what our podcast is about.
Good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And stay tuned. Like, subscribe, turn your alerts on. And we got more live from CPAC in Washington, D.C., technically Maryland. And we'll see you. This is the Lawyer Dana Show.
Sweet.